Hello everyone! So in this video I'm going to take you through all of my ultimate gear for Atelier Yumia and show you how to make it. It is, kind of actually the strongest gear you can make. It's pretty dang good considering that all of our stats are capped at 9999. 4 nines. So pretty good stuff. Basically, what we have here is each piece of gear is going to have a stat at the 16-bit integer cap, so 32,700 or so in defense for the weapon. Then we also have an armor with that for HP, speed on an accessory, and attack on another accessory, capping out all stats at 9999. And yeah, that's about how it works. I'll show you how to make all this stuff. It's pretty neat. And I guess before we do that, I'll just go over through the items and that I have chosen. So I mostly use Nina. Nina is just very, very good as an endgame character, as she is the character that has the best scaling in the game. So if you want to optimize one character for damage, I recommend Nina, but you can choose whoever you like. You get so many stats that it doesn't really matter, right? But basically, Nina has some passives that give her damage based on speed. So she's pretty solid because of that. Her weapon as well, Apostle of Orcus, it's her tier 3 weapon. It has rapid movement, which increases her damage for every 10 speed she has. So Nina is just the best item thrower and the best scaling character in general. So we do choose the tier 3 weapon because of that. And because this is an item setup, items are generally better than skills in this game, but you can use skills if you want. I do go for equipment that increases item damage, like the Krieger Cloak, which has item damage up level 10. The Jester's Mask is pretty generic, it has more critical damage up, and the Scarlet Scarf is more of a min-max item because it has stun boost for stun damage at a rate of 50%. If you would rather not deal with stunning enemies though, something like the Sapientia Annulus is better for item damage, or you have the Brash Bangle, which is pretty decent because it has crit damage and stuff on it as well. But I'm using the Scarlet Scarf just because it's the absolute min-max damage setup if you go through the setup to stun enemies for it. So as far as traits go, I'm not going to go over how to farm traits in this video. I will have a trait guide coming. But on the weapon, we have Philosopher's Wisdom. That's the main trait that matters for items. If you want to do skills, just go with Skill Boost. Then I also have Hawkeye, which increases damage when hitting a vulnerability, and there's not really another good trait for weapons if you're doing items, so just whatever Slayer trait you want on there is fine. For the armor, you just go with defensive traits, but you don't really need them because your stats are all capped, so armor traits don't matter at all. And for the accessories, I have Item Expert and then Stun Boost Plus and Stun Boost. These are... they're fine, they're decent. Overall, your gear traits don't really matter that much when your stats are all capped, but there's still a nice bit of extra damage. The traits that are really important are the item traits, and I do have to put different traits on here real quick. I was messing with some stuff. Alright, so for the item, we're going to be using Granshine. Granshine is just incredibly strong. It just does so much damage with its Blessing of the Four Spirits. You do need it in the inner range because it gets more damage based off the inner range effect here. But it just gets a lot of extra crit damage inner range as well from Glimmering Swordplay, and it's just really, really good. It's pretty easy to max out. I will go over how to make this as well. And for the traits, we just get as much item power as possible. So Power of Quality is 200% item power in the inner range. Unleash Element is 120% because it has 4 elements. And Ultimate Trump Card is another 120%, but it lowers your uses. If you don't want to have the uses lowered, you can swap this out for Critical Damage Up Plus. They're pretty similar in power. So yeah, that's the gear explained. Obviously, you can put these items on whoever you want, and they'll still be really strong because stats are just completely maxed out. But let's go over how to make it. And before you start making your gear, you will want to do a bit of setup. I have a simple altar here at a random building area with a bunch of bells on the ground. Those are really useful, and a mana spreader as well. the bells duplicate items when you make them. They do stack, so you want to place a bunch of them. I have like 9 placed or something, and it's enough to duplicate every single time. Then we also have the crystal flower, which returns ingredients, and the mana spreader, which increases resonance. The most important thing is the bells. And then also, we're going to want, in your container, you're going to want to duplicate 2 stacks of rainbow puny balls, B rank and A rank, all the way up to max, so that they are always going to be the highest quantity item in your container, and this is very, very important. So make sure you don't skip this step. And now let's go over the gear. First, I'm going to go over how to make the intermediate items. So let's just find the grand organ. So let's say you want to make a good grand organ. If you don't want to unlock the recipe and your post-game, I recommend using the synthesis skill, forced unlocking. This is good for pretty much anything you want to make that's like an intermediate material, so grand organ or any other, like anything that's basically not a usable item or equipment. Forced unlocking is really nice. If you do have the level maxed on it already, just go with cloning technique for increased quantity. And the way to make this is really, really, really simple. What we're going to do is we're going to open up the auto add menu, go to custom, select all of the alchemy cores, set the rank to S or below, and then prioritize abundant ingredients. This is super important. If you have the rainbow puny balls in your container maxed out and they're the most abundant material in your container, it will use rainbow puny balls for every node that it can, which will be almost every node. And then we just start the autosynth, and you can see through here that's just adding rainbow puny balls everywhere. And you can just press start to skip. Autosynth goes really fast. And if we look at all the cores, we can see that everything is rainbow puny balls, which is really nice. And rainbow puny balls are really OP. They'll have maxed out every single effect. So the grand organ effects maxed out, maxed out, maxed out, maxed out. And it doesn't really matter that the quality here isn't maxed out, because the quality on your final product will be maxed out no matter what when you're using items like this. So making intermediates like this is very easy. And as well for the forge items, which for this set you will be using Primal Remains. Primal Remains is the best. It gives crit damage. The item damage scaling from the metal parts isn't quite as good because you get so much damage from Nina's weapon. So this is like, it's probably a lot stronger on someone like Yumia, but if you're using Nina, you definitely want to go with Primal Remains. And you just make it the same sort of way, where, you know, if you don't want to level it up, you can just do Forced Unlocking. Forced Unlocking is from Synthesis Skill 5, by the way. And you can just do the same sort of auto synth as before, and it will have saved your settings. So you can just start it, and just like that, everything should be maxed out pretty easily. And there we go. So very nice little trick for just making intermediate items very, very quickly. Now, what about the actual gear? How do we get 9999 on everything? So what we're going to do is, let's just start with, say, a Kruger cloak. And we're going to choose a stat to focus. In this case, we're going to do HP. So we're going to want to use HP multiplier and HP multiplier plus. We're going to want both of these to focus HP. You can focus 2 stats if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. If you do 2 stats, one of them is 25% increase and one of them is 10% increase. It's just easier to do 1 stat at once. So the HP multiplier skill comes from Synthesis Skill 1, which you get after the first boss, so you can actually start this method as early as after the first boss. It'll just be slower, and you might not be able to get to 9999. And HP multiplier plus comes, I believe, during the Scared Off quest in Area 3. So you can actually do this before the end of the game. It'll just be a little bit slower without like all of the end game recipes and stuff, but it'll still work. So we have our skills selected and we go make the item. Now we can't use auto this time, unfortunately, but what we're going to do is we're just going to go into here, and the stat you're focusing, so we're doing HP this time, you're going to want to get as much HP up as you can. So for this, I have made perpetual machines. They have HP up plus level 10. And we're just going to go ahead and fill out one core with these. So make all these. You can see on the left, HP was raised to 54. HP was raised to 67. And it looks like I need to reset the filter and just put some other stuff in. And you don't need to be too, like, min-max for this stuff. It's totally fine to just, like, kind of put whatever in, if I'm being honest, as long as you are, you know, getting your stat up. For the ice requirement, we can put in Grand Organ. That will give all stats. Alright, filter, effects, HP up plus. Alright, and now that we have one core basically filled and our HP at like 100, that should be good enough. We can go ahead and start the synthesis. Now, we're not done yet. It might look pretty silly because the HP is only 100, but we're not done yet. After that, we're going to go to rebuild and just sort the items in rebuild by order obtained. It'll put the item you just made at the bottom of the list, so you can just press left and start rebuilding it. And basically, you remember the HP was 108. Well, these HP multipliers are going to apply again. So now we have 136. And we do need to put an item in to actually do the rebuild. So let's go ahead and, oh right, I have the filter set. Make sure to reset your filter if you don't see any items. So put an item in, start the rebuild. And it doesn't really matter what you put in at this point. But I do like to just do rainbow puny balls for everything. It's just easier. They can go in every slot. You can see that the HP is now at 174. And so just sort by quantity, start putting rainbow puny balls in one at a time. It's very important that you do it one at a time and finish the synth. So this one's 174. And we start the rebuild again. And you can see here, now it's up to 225, and it'll just keep multiplying and compounding and going up higher and higher, and it'll start accelerating as the stat gets higher and higher as you just rebuild in one item at a time. And eventually, after enough rebuilding, you will get to an item that looks like this, right? With 32,797 HP. So very, very, very good. And then after that, all that's really left to do, if you get to the stat cap, you can just do the same auto-synthesis with the rainbow puny balls to finish it out. It should be 909 quality with all of the effects maxed. So very, very simple from that point. And the only thing left to do after that is to forge it. So you can put down a forge, and you want to make sure to have an anvil when you forge, as the anvil increases the level of the effects that are added through forging. So to finish the item, you just forge it with the primal remains that you made, and you can see that it adds the effects critical damage and critical chance level 13. So very, very, very strong. And that's how we get all of the gear. And for the last thing, to make the item, the Granshine, you can actually just do the same rainbow puny ball thing as before. So we're going to go in here, and for skills, it is nice to do something like enhanced stockpiles to increase the item uses. I do generally like doing that. We just proceed, and we set up the same auto synth as before. and just add a bunch of rainbow penny balls. Now, this one won't be quite finished just off rainbow penny balls because the quality won't be maxed. You can see here it's 911, and Glimmering Swordplay is missing some stuff. That is because this phantom slot here, the rainbow penny ball, can't reach it. So you'll just want like anything you make, like a thread, a philosopher's stone, whatever, the Grand Oregon from earlier, they will have a big enough area to hit the phantom slot and enough quality to raise the quality up. And then once you do that, you just start the autosynth again and it'll fill it all out. Quality's still not high enough. If it's still not high enough, all you need to do is add another high quality item and it should go to 999. So very, very easy to make. And 4 uses, level 10 on everything, all the trait slots, and you also get 5 at once, which is really nice. So just start synthesizing and we're good. So that is how to make everything. It's pretty straightforward, I think. And let's just go test it out. So I will be going to the final area to test it out. We're just going to go right here. This is where enemies have the highest HP. And let me switch it to charismatic real quick. Alright, so let's just go fight some owls. I do have my party set up so that I can force a split encounter. We have, let's see, just Nina and Yumia in the front. And Yumia is set to only use items, but she has no items equipped. I don't want her killing anything. So we get the split encounter. If you don't do a split encounter, you can't see how much damage things you do when you throw them. It'll just end the fight immediately without showing you the damage numbers. And as we can see here, with all these stats, no one's taking any damage. If we do some skills, even with this amount of damage, you can see, or even with this amount of stats, obviously I don't do that much damage. The Granshine, however, is going to do a lot. It's going to do about like 1.4 million, I think. So just throw that, and yeah, look at all of those numbers. Now, if you do want to min-max the damage numbers, you can stun the enemies. The easiest way to do this is by doing a precision counter. So bring another character to the front, dodge, precision counter, and then you can do a friend action to the stunned enemy, and you can see that the damage is even higher with the ice portion of it, the weak portion doing like 900,000. So very, very, very strong setup. It's capable of one-shotting basically anything in just like a single hit. And yeah, it's just really, really good. Anyways, I love Nina. She's pretty and very strong, and that's how you make the best gear in Atelier Yumia. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one.